Welcome to From His Perspective podcast with your hosts Pernell Gates and Lorenzo Reynolds.
Today, guys, we got an interesting topic to talk about. As a lot of us have seen there and know that there's a fine line in humor. So we want to talk about that fine line in humor, not only with comics and comedians, but also with in your friends, family, and in the workplace. It's very important that we understand that it's a fine line and not to go past that fine line. So very interesting conversation.
Absolutely.
What's trending or what's on your mind with this conversation?
Bro, I think this is a interesting conversation, brother, because us talking about humor, um, what's funny to some people may not be funny to others.
Mhm.
And I think we have to read the room, in my opinion. I think with us hearing comedy or looking at it, I think we have to understand what it is. My personal opinion, I think sometimes we can um, take it too far, but then sometimes I think we have to be able to read the room also and understand what that situation really is.
Yeah. So for me, one of the things I try to think about is the
Mhm.
joke that I'm telling. Not only is it funny now, but will it be funny later on if that person think about it later on that day
Mhm.
or the next week or the next month? Some things that are funny in that moment, they won't be
Mhm.
funny later on. And so in all things that we do, you gotta understand that it can cause future problems as well. So
Mhm.
as I look at some of the things that people say,
Mhm.
you can get that laugh even out of that person that you're joking on. But
Right.
what if later on they think about that and it caused them to be upset, and then you get a what we call a delayed reaction.
Mhm.
And so again, you got to be careful and think things through before you say them because you can't take those words back once they out there.
Um, I I'm going to disagree with you a little bit on this, brother.
And
Again,
which part? Because
well,
at this point in time of um, doing this podcast for four
mhm.
years, I think you just disagree. So which part do you disagree with?
um, well, everybody know I'm the brains of the operation anyway, and
Sure, you're not, but go
I
ahead.
I, I tend to have a lot more logic than my brother do. But Rance, I think people we can tell a joke or what have you, and I think it's all about your intent, right? A lot of people, um, you're telling a joke with the intent to be funny or um, get a rise out of this person or this particular group or this particular situation,
Mhm.
and it has nothing to do with someone else getting offended or this person. You that wasn't even um, someone's intention, or that those people or that thought wasn't even it wasn't even thought about. But people can latch hold of something and say, "I'm offended." You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Me marrying someone else marrying a white woman, and it's other black women out here getting offended, and that has nothing to do with you, somebody else preference or what they doing. And I think a lot of times we get offended or latch on to something that has absolutely nothing to do with us, or we're looking at the wrong intentions, right?
Well, first of all, I want to say a person's intentions and what
Mhm.
truly happened is two separate things.
Okay.
Your intentions could be to get a laugh, but in return, if you have people upset, then it's not what you meant it to be, it's what it really is. And so when it comes to the words that we say, we got to be careful because it's not
Mhm.
what we meant. It's rather this cause, did this help or did this harm? And so when you think of a joke, laughter is a great thing. Laughter is medicine to the soul, says the
Mhm.
Bible. So if laughter is this good thing, but you go the wrong way of getting a good thing, then you didn't do right. And so again, it's not your intentions, and if your intentions is selfish, then when do we come out of being selfish and look at what's going to be for the overall goodness or the overall good for us as people? And I just believe overall we're becoming more and more cold because of things like humor and jokes. If it's going to make you cold and it's not going to allow you to be sensitive, then why even say it? You have to be sensitive of others' feelings. If not, anything can go.
My brother, I understand what you're saying when you're saying have a little respect for others, and but what about the respect that you have for yourself? And I think so many times, again, people are latching on to things because of their personal situation, and that's not even what it's meant for. And that's not. If I tell a joke, I can tell a joke saying something to you about being bald. You're not going to take it personal, but then someone else can say, well, I think that's inappropriate that you guys were telling those jokes on here about a bald person because this person had cancer and lost their hair or what have you, right? And it had nothing to do with that. And they made it, and they made that, and they took that in and said, because I said this on a public forum or what have you, that um, they're going to use it against me. And that wasn't the intention. And anybody can feel how they want to feel. But all I'm saying is we definitely have to look at the intentions. We definitely have to look at the
I can see it from that point of view. So that would be my question. What and where do you draw that line on things to say and things not to say? Because that's the overall goal of this conversation, to understand, is there a line, and where is that line, and where do you start it, where do you stop it? Because if you don't know, then again, anything can go, and some things are.
Well, I think it's a two-way street here. I think the two-way street is, yes, you have to again read the room, because if I'm saying this in this room where it's appropriate to this person and this person understands where I'm coming from, and somebody else walk in the room that they weren't invited to and then take offense to it, that can be kind of ridiculous.
All right, so I'm glad you said that. If it's a joke, my argument or my thought would be, shouldn't it be that joke can go in any room?
No.
But if it's a racist joke, then it can't go in any room. So
again,
this is my point. If it's a racist joke, then why say it at all? Why only say it around your black friends and you can't say it around your white friends? Or why only say it around your white friends if you can't say it around your blacks? If it's just racist, then why not just not say it at all?
Rance, I think you're trying to change the dynamic to make your point, which is kind of ridiculous.
No, it's not ridiculous at all. If why can't it be universal and say
because that's not how this works, and that's not how the world works. Again, like I just explained, if I'm saying this in this particular room, I can't box on the street, but I can box in the boxing ring.
Totally different situation. Not you taking it out of context.
It's not, and this is why I say it's not. It's not because you're, again, this is where me doing this is accepted, and where people say, okay, this is what they do. If I go in here and I say, I choose to do this in this area, and the people in this area accept it, like it, and this is where I can do that at, then that's fine for me to do. But if I do it somewhere that I shouldn't be fighting on the street or anywhere else, again, everything has its proper place and it's appropriate where it needs to be appropriate at.
Gotcha. Right? So that makes sense. So basically what I hear you saying is that there's a time and a place for everything.
For everything, it is.
So with that being said, where do you tell your racist jokes at?
Between you and I, on the phone.
Wow.
And
I,
where do you tell yours?
I don't have racist jokes. I love everybody, and I just want to give everybody flowers, and
I know where I can dump mine off, right?
I just want to give everybody flowers and pray for everybody. So
Okay, and I just want to tell the truth. See, that's what I'm talking about. One of us out here know how to tell the truth.
I
Okay?
don't have racist jokes. I don't have fat jokes. I don't have bald head jokes. I don't have no jokes. I just love
Okay.
everybody.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Ha ha ha. Okay. Uh,
Oh my god.
well, I think this conversation is quite interesting because,
So, do
again,
you feel people be sensitive or offended when they want to or when it's convenient for them?
I do. This whole conversation is based off of the George Floyd incident with Kevin Hart.
Mm-hmm.
Um, his family, I can understand to a certain extent because it's a hurting situation for them. Why they could be offended. Again, um, I'm saying this, which it may not be fair, but it's the truth. Anytime that you're in the public, um, gloves are off because us being public with any and everything, whether it's a tragedy or what have you, we open it up for people to be able to have their opinion,
Mm-hmm.
right? And we stay in the United States of America, and us living here, we have the freedom of speech. And I know this sounds crazy, but they have a right to have their opinion, whether it's racist, non-racist, or whatever, and say what they want to say. And that's the beauty about it, whether you like it or not. You know what I'm saying? And you can't, and people will try to persecute you for that, but we don't have to listen to it. We can move on. And we can say, okay, you know what? It's certain music I don't listen to. I'll change the channel. It's certain things I'm not around because that's not what I want to hear. So whatever information we take in, that's up to us.
Yeah,
But to try.
I agree with that. I think that hate and racism and
Mhm,
all these things are weaponized
mhm,
through using that First Amendment right. So I do believe that, and it could be a fine line between that. It
mhm,
could be a very fine line, and so um, what's right as far as with the laws and what's
mhm,
right from a moral standpoint can be different as well.
mhm.
But in the court of the law, you don't get judged on what's morally right or what's morally wrong. You get judged on what breaks the law and what doesn't. And
Correct.
so, certain behavior don't break the law, um, but certain behavior does. And
Mhm,
it's quite interesting because if you call someone a name,
mhm.
a cuss word, a name, a B or a H, you could
Sure.
be fired from a job from that. But I'm not sure, and I had to research this, if charges can actually be brought up against you for saying those names. So the dynamics of it is quite interesting how a person can use that stage. And what has people in the uproar is that this black man was killed
Mhm,
by a white person
mhm,
who choked the life out of him,
mhm,
and you go on here being white and you use this joke. So
mhm.
I can see from
So,
both sides. I can see why people are offended, and I can
mhm.
see why other people choose not to be offended.
and again, everything is context, right? So the context of what they were doing, where they were doing it, it's a roast. And it's to make the person that you're roasting to feel as uncomfortable as possible. And it's dark humor, right?
Mhm.
And a lot of people may not understand dark humor or like it. I don't like certain rock and roll. I seen a guy bite a pigeon head off. I thought that was ridiculous, right?
Right.
But again, that's for if it's an audience for everything.
Mm-hmm.
It's a you know, I'm gonna just be real with you at this moment. Um, we are probably one of the most racist groups against each other, the African Americans, as African Americans, and we have the audacity to correct others and don't even correct ourselves.
That I agree with
You
1,000%.
know, my thing is,
I agree with that 1,000%, but I also think that we were colonized and beaten and forced to that point. And
real,
now that we have the freedom to choose differently, because some people has been in the indoctrination of doing it the wrong way for so long, it's kind of hard for them to shake loose and see what the truth is, that a lot of it is self-destruction within. So I agree with you 1,000%. I
yeah,
just
but I'm gonna say this:
understand the why.
what we can't use is excuses.
Absolutely.
We can't use excuses of why we're doing this because, as my mom and grandma would say, you know better now.
Yeah.
You understand what I'm saying? And so, because we know better now, we have to do better. Because my understanding, my educational level is different now, I can't use the past and say, this is why I'm doing this now. Because we're using that as an excuse. We have to do better. You know what I'm saying? And be better. And I love this conversation because it makes us look in the mirror and say, um, why am I offended?
Mhm.
Why is this? And
Mhm.
I'm offended at a lot of things. And then you have a lot of people in this particular situation, I think, talking about this or saying something for attention and not necessarily because they feel like this is the right thing.
Right. I agree with that too, man. It'll never be fairness across the stage though. I'm
Well,
gonna say that. I'm gonna say that as well. The
mhm,
reason why I say that there will never be certain fairness across the stage is that there are certain things that are absolutely not joked about.
mhm.
You don't hear comedians, from my knowledge, get up there and talk about the Jewish Holocaust. They don't talk about that.
They do though.
If you talk about that, most of the time you'll get canceled, because there's a certain group of people that say no. We mean no, that you can't joke and talk about this, versus how you can. And like you said, a lot of African Americans do it, but you
Mhm.
can put this group down more than any other group because
Brother,
this group is.
I'm gonna be real with you. Um, and this is just me, my opinion. I think a lot of people don't talk or joke about it because they're not educated, right? And a lot of things that people know or say is because of what they know, the knowledge that they have, right? Um, Again, a lot of what you're talking about to different people, they don't know about it.
So,
And so how you gonna talk about something you don't know? And that's
like I
when
said, it's going to be way more jokes made
Mhm.
about slavery than it is about the Jewish Holocaust.
Sure.
That's just 1,000% of what it is.
It
And
yeah,
so again, there's going to be one group of people that's targeted more than others, and that group of people that's the target and the butt of that joke, they have to learn to accept it or do something about it. But
brother,
it's
my
like I said, my whole point was that it's never going to be fairness, and that's historically proven that it ain't
brother,
going to be fairness when it comes to certain
brother,
jokes and people.
I, you say fairness, I say lack of education.
Okay, and
You,
that's what you choose to say. So
yeah, because realistically, um, the knowledge that we don't have, or the things that we don't look at, or the different cultures that we don't understand is to I'm being told. I know a little bit about um, the Jews and what happened? Yes. Do I know enough? I don't. And I'm being totally honest with you about that, right? And I think a lack of education is what this conversation is about
Mm-hmm.
on every aspect,
In
right?
all areas of life, we
Yeah.
perish from a lack of knowledge. So I
Hmm.
get that. My only point was we definitely choose what we want to make humor out of, and
Hmm.
we stay away from other stuff, and
Hmm.
just understanding that fine line a little more.
Hmm.
It's very important. In certain places, you couldn't make sexual jokes. You couldn't make them. But then we have a president that you know was quoted saying, "Punch a woman in the vagina," and so
Hmm.
it's different now. It's different, and I think people straddle along that line, or they kind of play in your
Well,
face with that line more now than ever, just because they
mhm.
know that they can't get away with it.
Brother, I think we're fighting the wrong fight. Um, we have the audacity to be having this conversation,
Mm.
and preachers out here saying, "Oh, this is wrong," but gas prices is through the roof and going up, and you choose to talk about this comedian on your pulpit rather than what's affecting your congregation.
Yeah, well, all the pastors I know didn't talk about it, so
I, I'm just,
maybe
I'm okay.
maybe it's just the pastors.
Okay, which you the only pastor I really know. So we back.
If you take a shot at a pastor, then that's just
Man, you know why I take shots sometimes is because
because you be hating on new pastors, and I don't know
no,
why. Let's talk about it. I want to be your
because
therapist.
because we we have to, if we're the leader or the lead and we have people looking up to us, we have a responsibility to do the right thing, and we have a responsibility to engage in things that are helpful, right, and not popular.
Mm.
Let's educate our people, and let's look at this situation and say, okay, we have a comedian speaking on this particular network or this particular thing. You know, that's like me saying, having a conversation with somebody about an incident that happened in a strip club. I don't know because I'm not there,
Mm.
right? And again, whatever happens over there, I'm not really surprised
Yeah.
because this situation happened somewhere that I'm not engaging in. And you're engaging in different situations that has nothing to do with you, or that somewhere that you shouldn't be.
Yeah.
And you're getting this unnecessary information that has nothing to do with you or even your life.
Yeah.
But you want to engage in it, which I feel like is foolishness.
It is. It's been many, many years ago, but I heard a friend of mine, and I won't say last names, but first name was Sam, and he was at a strip club some years ago. He he engaged in some conversation that centered around the famous slogan, "Ooh, let me touch it," and that's quite interesting. But I think, bro, what you just said is true. Like I try to
Mhm.
extract certain points from the conversation. You said that I wouldn't engage in behavior that's going to be harmful. That's why me personally, I wouldn't choose to go to a roast, especially with the way that they act. And I didn't even see it. I just saw highlights of it. But if that's what if that's what comic has come to, and that's their choice, then we have to choose not to engage in it. Because to be honest, bro, I'm at a point in life where I only want to deal with what's going to cause or help my overall wellness.
Yeah.
I want my overall wellness to be in a state of peace, and if it's a place where it's that kind of joking, I don't want to be there. But then you have your times where it's not that kind of place, right? And somebody bring distasteful jokes to you, and so you have to realize, what to accept, what not to accept, what to engage in, and what to, just separate yourself from. So I think that's very important with keeping your peace overall.
Mm. Bro, um, I think this thing called peace, like what you're saying, um, most people don't want peace.
Nope.
Most people want problems, and most people want to just um find something to engage in to point the finger at someone else,
Yeah.
and I feel like it's silly. My opinion with the whole roast um is I felt like it was okay and it was fine, because the platform that it was on, where it was done, and it was done in an arena where this is accepted, and the people that the jokes were told about or who was being roasted wasn't offended. And I understand you're adding someone else in, and their family has every right to feel how they feel. I'm not telling them how to feel, and I'm not telling them not to be offended. But all I'm saying is it done in the appropriate place? And can I accept that? I can. I can because of where it was done. People can, and anytime, again, I just say this, anytime you're in the public eye, um, whether it's you ask for it or not, the Floyd family is known now in history because of the tragedy that happened. And no, they did not ask to be in this position, but they're there.
Mhm.
And because they are there and they are going out as advocates, as celebrities, or what have you, and they're being paid to go speak for their services or whatever, um, the gloves are off and people can have opinions and talk about you because you are in the public eye. The, the president of the United States or anybody doing public office, right?
Mhm.
Um, this is what you open yourself up to, and this is what you open your family up to, right? Because you're in this position. It's just the nature of the business.
Yeah. Yeah, that has some kind of logic to it.
Mhm.
In all reality, I wish we lived in a world where people wasn't ignorant and they
Mhm.
didn't use comedy to express ignorance. I do believe that people do that. I also believe that not all, but some of the comedians use comic as a way to further uh, demonstrate racism,
Mhm.
and to kind of say what they really want to say. I think a
Mhm.
lot of people do that. Not just comics, but people in general. Sometimes people will say the most disgusting thing to you, and they say, "Oh, I'm just playing." "Oh, I'm just playing" is a way of them kind of keeping one hand on the safe base and the other hand on disrespect. And
Mhm.
so I think that's when that fine line come in at when people say certain stuff that they shouldn't say and say I'm just playing. That could be, you know, a red flag and a warning sign of how a person truly feels. And so, it's all a choice though. I choose not to let those people close or in my inner circle or feed them
Mhm.
what we call the long handled spoon, because those
Mhm.
people will bite you as quick as they can because of the way that they truly feel, and they really just want to express that. Our words and what we say, like, that carries a lot of power, and
Mhm.
everybody don't look at it the same, and I ain't telling everybody to, but from my point of view, there's almost never a time where being ignorant is okay. And again, people gonna always take advantage of that and say it's for the name of comedy, and be it as it may. Do you ever feel like in your personal life that there's a joke that could be said towards you that will make you feel offended personally?
Um, Possibly.
Okay.
But me growing up, um, I had to learn to laugh. I had to learn to laugh at situations or things, to accept them. And I tend to, even now as an adult, um, use comedy to tackle tough situations. We do it on the show,
Yeah.
right? And I think if we take that away, um, we're not going to be able to swallow the truth a lot of the times. His diddyism kicked in.
What?
his
What?
diddy, his diddyism kicked in.
What?
the
Yikes!
Punisher, the Punisher diddyism kicked in. He was like,
Yikes!
you see what I mean?
No,
Uh,
it was just a yikes moment. Go ahead,
I
brother. I'm
know,
listening to
yeah,
you. You
I
got my
know.
full
Your
undivided.
mind just be going back to those New York days.
Yikes!
But
I think you absolutely have to, get through some tough times with some
mhm,
jokes and some humor. But again, it's a fine line. With
mhm,
that being said, brother, it's certain jokes I never asked you if it was okay. So all the short bus jokes that I said on and about you,
mhm,
if they offended you, brother, I apologize.
mhm,
You know. Um, in all seriousness though, for me personally, there are some things that I don't want people to joke on me about, right? And so I think it's just that golden rule: do as unto others as you want done unto you, right?
my
And
brother,
so if there's
what?
a certain line.
Tell me so I know, so I will cross this line.
No,
What
no, no,
jokes you don't want? Just let me know, please.
and so if there are certain jokes
Mm,
that I don't want said, I would like to learn people in my circle, my inner circle, to know what jokes you don't want to joke about,
yeah, tell
or
me.
not to, or not to cross them. But if you cross them, if I cross them, I'm willing to always apologize, not because of my intent wasn't to hurt you, but if I did hurt you, it's like, why not apologize and say, you know what, that offended you. That was not my intent. I apologize. But you get some people that won't even apologize because of pride and them saying that wasn't my intention, so you shouldn't have took it that way.
Mhm,
And sometimes the jokes that you tell is not again about what you wanted to happen, but what did it truly cause. And if you're gonna be a person who have empathy and sympathy, you're gonna have to apologize. And I would think you would know a little bit about that with being married. But what's your thoughts on that?
but I totally agree. Um, I think the older we get, um, the more we look at situations and the more we care about, um, the sensitivity of what we say and how we say.
Okay.
And and um,
Mm, I
I
got you.
think I think a lot of things are relationship based also, right? Rez, I can joke with you about certain things or say certain things to you because of the nature of our relationship, that it may be like, wow, it may be a wow factor, but it's not taken offensively, right? And if someone else said it to you, it would be taken offensively and you may be ready to fight, right? But I think relationship and who says things matters, right?
Absolutely.
And I think a lot of times, um, people saying, "Oh, this white man shouldn't have said this," but if a black man would have said that joke, would you be up and roar the same way? A lot of times, no. Sometimes we have to understand why we're offended,
Yeah.
right? We say things on this podcast, and women get offended. My wife can come on here and say the same thing, and they amen. I know that's right, girl. And I'm like, I just said this, right? But a lot of times, situations are taken based on who's saying them and the intention that you think the person is coming from, right? And I think we have to listen to the message a lot of times and not who's saying it,
Not the
but
message.
what's being said.
Yeah, that's yeah, that's very intelligently the way you put it. Like I said, it's oftentimes where you have those Forrest Gump intelligent moments
Hmm.
where certain things he didn't know. He didn't know Jenny was running game on him, but when it came down to his IQ,
Hmm.
it was unbelievable genius
Hmm.
level. So sometimes you would say something that's genius level.
You know, and I want to say this, and I'm not trying to be offensive in saying this.
Hmm.
Lorenzo is retarded, y'all. Retarded. And he doesn't have hair because he'd get food and everything stuck in his hair. So we decided to cut it off.
Hmm.
Are you
And
offended?
and on the other hand, no, because Lorenzo graduated with high honors a couple weeks ago,
Okay,
and he got another graduation in next
yeah.
week, so he
Yeah.
ain't offended.
Again, again. We all can graduate from somewhere. Okay.
Sure, keep moving the goalposts, why don't you?
We got this thing called AI, and I didn't show y'all the real people that was at this graduation.
Wow.
My
So
brother, let's wrap this up, man.
yeah,
Let's
this is
wrap
a good
this up.
topic. I just want to ask you this last question. When you
Sure.
heard the joke on the deceased Mr. Floyd, did you feel or get upset? What was your natural feelings and emotions?
Um, I didn't.
Mhm.
Me understanding comedy and understanding. So let me. This happens in comedy. This happens in rap, right? And so rap music, they make rhymes and say different things to get a rise out of you, right?
Mhm.
And they'll, oh, your mom is this or your family is this. 50 Cent is great at it, right? And getting a rise or doing things that people say, oh, he took this too far or he did this, right? But this is what they do and this is what they say in these industries, right? And it's
Mhm.
called, we called it capping or talking about something or whatever. And we all did this as children. And my thing is this, though, guys, when this is being done, let's really think about this from a logical perspective and say, what can I learn from this? And what information is God trying to get me? Not the person, but God, right?
Mhm.
And let's look beyond the racism and say, what is this actually? Let me educate myself on what is this actually and why is this a tragedy or why is this tragic, right?
Mhm.
And let's educate ourselves on that and educate others on that. You see
Mhm.
what I'm saying? And let's do the research. Bro, everything we can switch up and we can change, but we choose to get in the garbage. You know what I'm saying? Rather than sit over here and say, okay, how did I learn from that? How did I teach someone else? And how was this a teachable moment?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so that's all I'm saying. And I think that's how we have to start looking at different things and just switch our thought process. I'm going to say, I learned that even within my marriage. I said, I'm offended by this, but did she mean to offend me? You know what I mean? Or is it a teachable moment for her or me? Right? Can we communicate and come together and say, okay, you know what? Let's love each other more in this moment and get some understanding. You know what I'm saying? Because again, what is the intention? And
Mhm.
even if the intention is malicious, How can I change it into positive? And that's for us to do for us. You understand what I'm saying? And then I think that'll make the world a better place. What you got, my brother?
That's pretty good. So for me personally, I wouldn't allow myself to get upset,
Mm-hmm,
but I did try to put myself in the shoes of the deceased.
mm-hmm,
If it was me and I lost my life that way, well,
mm-hmm,
my life was taken that way, I wouldn't want a comedian to joke about my legacy and my name like that.
mm-hmm,
My kids be or have to hear that.
mm-hmm,
And so, with that being said, I wouldn't want to put nobody else through that as well. But
mm-hmm.
again, that's not my choice, and
Sure.
we can't choose everything. I do agree with what you said that there's a lesson to learn out of everything, and we have to learn to continue to rise above ignorance and use unkind words as a footstool to make
Mm-hmm,
us more Christ-like and closer to Him. So
mm-hmm,
those things are simply needed in everything that we do. But like Mr. Gates said, it's a lesson in everything, and so it's important to agree to disagree and do
mm-hmm.
so respectfully. And it's important to just use everything as a measurement or a growth tool for us to grow. So we ain't never
Rance,
done growing. We're never done developing.
mm-hmm. I'm gonna say this too. Um, George Floyd dying was a tragedy, right? What is the blessing in that? The blessing in him dying is his daughter and his family um, is financially stable. Do they want their loved one back? Absolutely. But is their life differently, and is their generation of his family life going to be different? Absolutely. And sometimes it's at the sacrifice of tragedy, right? But my thing is, what about the positives out of this? And how are we looking at it? How are we better from this situation? And I think that's what we really have to start focusing on and looking at, and then saying, Rance, I don't have no control of what my neighbor next door say or do, but I'm trying to control it, something that I don't have control over. And I think that doesn't make sense. And it's not helpful for me, and it's not logical, right? People, everybody out here is always going to have an opinion and always feel how they feel and do what they do. Racism is going to be here forever. This is going to be here forever. If I can change it or change someone's thought process
Yeah.
by a conversation, cool. But getting in an uproar or saying, oh, this person is wrong or this, and this, sometimes it's unnecessary because, again, all I'm doing is giving them more power and a bigger microphone and a bigger platform because I'm saying something about it instead of ignoring it.
Mm-hmm.
So, but guys, we are out of here. My brother, I appreciate you. This was a great conversation. We will see you guys on next week. And thank you, thank you, thank you. Yeah, and we're out of here.